mostly when I get off. And I think that there's so many ways to give. I have true admiration for anybody who does pro bono on, any scale, any level. But if you don't want to spend all of your waking life that you're not spending taking care of kids, and husbands, whatever, in your home, then reach out. And as lawyers, we learn so many skills that make it easier for us to do things. One thing is we have a support system. We have secretaries who can help us get things together, hold meetings, etc. We learn to organize. We learn to think logically. Our training makes it easier for us to give back and to be leaders. One thing I jotted down are ways to help, and one is the legal aid, pro bono. My husband's firm does a great deal for children in need of care, and that's very dear to his heart. And you can help with LSBA, the New Orleans Bar Association. I have 4 young women lawyers who work solely for me. We work on a team system for our senior partners, and these 4 young women, one's married, 2 are married, and one has a baby, and another single. But what I see, even with all their differences, is that they're sharing and doing things and giving through the New Orleans Bar, for instance. They just had a bar and grill. I make our firm have a team every year. Not that it's hardship duty, but I think that's something. It's a way to give back, and the money goes to legal services. So what I saw is a lot of sharing, and that they had a great time with it. So that's one way to give back. What I'd like to do, I dropped out of high school when I was 16, had my first child when I was 16. So my children are in their late 30s and 40s and have grandchildren. That means that it is easier for me than for those of you who sit out there. Somebody has 7 children out there, that's amazing, that you could do other things. But there are ways to give of your time, even if you can't be on a board because you don't have that time. Committees, all the bar associations have wonderful committees. You can pick things on those. Covenant House, I know what I started to say. I lose my train of thought sometimes. Covenant House, helps homeless kids. That's something that matters a lot to me. You can go down there, you don't have to be on the board. I did intake for years when I was a younger lawyer and had more energy. Go down there at night and you want to feel blessed. You sit and you do intake for homeless kids who come in with cardboard boxes that they've been sleeping in. And you have to convince them to let you take the box away because they will have a bed to sleep in. You will feel blessed. So, that's one way to get. The World Affairs Council is something that, again, if you've got different kinds of interests, you want to reach outside. You want to do something with your head other than legal thoughts. And it gives you a camaraderie, something. I just find that personally, there are tremendous benefits to this, and it's a way to share. It's a way to gain friends. I know that sometimes, and it's a good thing, to develop contacts, business contacts, do that. But going back to philosophy, my philosophy is it really is not, to me at least, a means to get something tangible, because the intangible benefits are just tremendous. And so I hope that even if you have small children, even if you're overworked, I really encourage everybody on any scale, think about what fits your personality and your interests, and please do that.
Thank you for that, Patricia. Just to follow up on something briefly that you said, it is important to get involved, but Kim, I'd like you to address how you become involved, but also maintain a balance. Just listening to the last panel, we all know that all of our time is very limited, and sometimes you don't have time to do all the things that you might want to do in the community. Can you speak a little bit to how you achieve a balance such that you're able to do community and bar leadership activities?
Thank you, Sharonda. Well, first of all, I don't know that I do have a balance, so I'll start from that premise. I don't know that my life is balanced, and bluntly, I don't know that anybody in this room's life is balanced. I look around the room and I see a ton of people that I know, all of whom are wonderful attorneys, wonderful judges. I see Judge DeRusso, Judge Gil Jefferson, a number of other people in the room. And bluntly, I don't know that anybody's life is balanced, and I don't even know if that's an achievable goal per se. Because if you are in a profession, and it doesn't have to be the legal profession, it could be the medical profession, teaching profession, whatever the case may be, I think if you do it and you do it well and you want to do it well, you're going to spend a lot of time devoted to that particular job. My mother was a public school teacher for 30 years. My mother woke up every morning at 4 o'clock to do laundry, to fix breakfast, to clean, grade papers, all of the stuff that she had to do before we even got up. She got us together for school, then go teach for a number of hours, come back, grade papers, start that process over again. So I would say the first time my mother's life became balanced was when she retired, when I graduated from college. And again, looking at the people around this room, you know, Donna Klein, Dominique, all of these people who have maintained marriages, children, etc., plus a phenomenal career, I don't know that we can be balanced. But having said that, I think like Patricia said, and I think Patricia hit the nail on the head, you get so much more out of the involvement that you don't really spend a lot of time worrying about being quote-unquote balanced in your life. After the storm, many people in the city of varying professions, law, whatever the case may be, really became involved in this city because they realized how critical it was that we stand up and try to save our own city, that we stand up and say we're not going to let our city die, and that we stand up and say we're going to bring our neighborhoods, schools, and everything back together. So you saw people who were living in trailers, you saw people who were living with relatives 20, 30 at a time, you saw people who were trying to figure out where to put their kids in school, still spending an inordinate amount of time on the unified planning process. We're still working on the master plan. So I think if you're committed to something, if it's something you believe in, if it's something that you're passionate about, you will try to find the time to be involved in whatever that thing is. Luckily for me, I've been passionate about a number of things. I'm very involved in the bar, as Sharonda said. I mean, I hope I'm involved in the bar since I'm coming in as bar president in June. But on top of that, I've always tried to be involved in community activities because I am a big believer, as I think most people in this room are, to whom much is given, much is expected. You can't just go around, as Patricia said, and take, and say I have this great career and I'm meeting with this one and I met the mayor and I'm flying off here. You can't just do that without looking around to the community in which we live, whether you live in Orleans Parish, Jefferson Parish, whatever the case may be, and look at the need and say, there's not something that I can contribute to this. There's not something that's meaningful to me that I can hopefully bring some skill set to and hopefully contribute to. So, like Patricia, I look at being involved as bluntly necessary for my own sanity. I look at it as a way to hopefully give a little bit back to the community that's been so great for me. And like Patricia said, you get so much more when you work in your church, when you work in your sorority, when you work with kids at risk, whatever the issue is, guys, it really doesn't matter. You get so much more back than the little bit that you give, that I think everybody can find some way to give a little bit back.
It sounds like what everyone is saying is that we sort of have an obligation in some sense to be involved in the community. And I'd like to ask Tanya to address that a little bit.
I spend a lot of time teaching my students, and I see one of my former students here, Tara, somewhere, about the obligation of lawyers not just to function within broken systems, but to fix the systems. And to look around at the way the law works and who has access to it and who can't afford us, and to work on that. Because actually lawyers, and my students never believe this, have a lot of power. You have a lot of power within society. You have the education to be real leaders. We're trained as problem solvers. We have the ability to tinker with the way society works and to make it better. So there are lots of opportunities to do community involvement. There are a lot of purely selfish reasons to do it. It is a great way